My husband has been secretly in love with his old flame for years. He was always posting emo stuff on his alt account. One day, he posted, "I want to text you back so bad, but how can I if you never text me first?" I replied anonymously, "Can't you just text her first?" He wrote back, "I'm scared she won't reply." I gave him a tip, send her something she's interested in. That night, a notification from him suddenly popped up on my phone. "I have an 8-pack, wanna see?" Before I could reply, he sent a picture of his abs. My marriage to Ethan was a business arrangement. 6 months in, we were polite and distant, like respectful strangers. I'd heard a while ago that he'd been secretly in love with his old flame for years. When our families first arranged the marriage, he fought it tooth and nail. But after just one day, he caved. He even moved the wedding up a week. I figured he must have realized that the practical benefits of our union far outweighed some fruitless crush on the one that got away. People are selfish, and I'm no exception. So I didn't care who was in his heart. Life was uneventful. My only source of entertainment was watching Ethan post emo nonsense on his secret Reddit account. I'd stumbled on it by chance once and somehow figured out it was him. He was still pining. Every single day, he'd post a few angsty lines without fail. I found it hilarious and would occasionally roast him. Waiting for her to love me, so was it the timing, or am I just not worth it? I replied anonymously, could be both. Waiting for her to love me, I pretend not to care, only to find out you really don't. Me, you're a clown. Waiting for her to love me, my mind wanders at night, but it always wanders to you. Me, you should get a night job. It wasn't just me, other users often teased him in the comments. Emo guy is back. It's Lovelorn Bro. Reading a couple of Lovelorn Bro's angsty quotes every day is a real treat. Gonna start copying my captions from Emo guy's page from now on. He ignored them all, continuing his daily output like clockwork. That night, I opened his profile as usual. I saw a new post from 5 minutes ago. It had that same familiar emo vibe. "I want to text you back so bad, but how can I if you never text me first?" I rolled my eyes at the screen. And, as usual, I fired back, "Can't you just make the first move? If she doesn't text, why can't you? No wonder your crush has gone nowhere for years. Are you just going to sit there and dream about her taking the lead?" For the first time ever, he replied to me, "I'm scared she won't reply." I scoffed. What a wimp. Doesn't he know that fortune favors the bold? But then I remembered how buttoned up Ethan usually seemed. His idea of making a move was probably just a lame "Hey, you up?" So I replied, "Send her something interesting." You have to start an interesting conversation to make someone want to chat. A long time passed before he wrote back, "Okay, I get it, thank you." Looks like he finally got the hint. Feeling pretty good about myself, I closed the app, shifted into a more comfortable position, and started scrolling through videos. Just then, a message from Ethan popped up. I was puzzled. Why was he suddenly texting me? I opened it and almost choked. "I have an 8-pack, wanna see?" It wasn't a question, it was an announcement. Because a second later, a picture of his abs appeared. My eyes went wide. My hand, seemingly with a mind of its own, tapped the picture and zoomed in. In the photo, his bathrobe was half open, revealing pale skin and perfectly defined abs. A full 8-pack, with droplets of water still clinging to them. Hold on. What was he trying to do? Way to test a girl's self-control. I swallowed hard and slowly typed out a single question mark. He replied instantly, "Are you interested?" Staring at the message, it all clicked into place. He was taking my advice, trying to appeal to his dream girl's interests by sending her a pic to win her over. The guy was smoother than I thought, a real schemer. Except his aim was terrible, he'd send it to the wrong person. Couldn't he have double-checked before hitting send? You don't just send that to someone unless you're sure it's your dream girl. Now we were stuck in this awkward mess. I had no choice but to point it out, "I think you sent this to the wrong person." Not wanting him to be too embarrassed, I added a considerate follow-up. It's okay, you can unsend it. I'll pretend I never saw it. The screen showed he was typing. And typing, and stopping, and typing again. He must have been dying of embarrassment. Finally, he managed to get out one sentence. It won't let me unsend it. To save him from further awkwardness, I replied. It's fine. I can still pretend I never saw it. He took a moment before writing back, oh. The next day, I saw Ethan had posted again. One bold move, a lifetime of introversion. I was surprised. Did his pic not get a response from his dream girl? It seemed she was pretty aloof, not one to be swayed by a guy's looks. I scrolled down to the comments, where the other users were having a field day. Everyone, form a line and laugh. If you don't make a move, you have no shot. If you do make a move, you've got a spot in the circus. Cue the music, we were once the couple everyone envied. He ignored the teasing. Instead, he posted again. Just give me the manual on how to win you over. I want a happy ending with you. Still simping. I couldn't take it anymore. Maybe you should try pinning her to a wall. But clearly, he didn't have the guts. He replied to another comment instead. Stop making wishes online, kid. Go to a temple you can pray for love there. Waiting for her to love me, we're already married, thanks. A string of question marks flooded the replies. So the clown was me all along. I think our boy is cancelled. I'm out. Done with this. Your wife is sleeping right next to you and you're still posting emo stuff every day. Are you trying to get yourself killed? Anyone else thinking about why his username is waiting for her to love me? Got it. He has her in his life, but he hasn't won her heart. Enemies to lovers, arranged marriage style? Interesting. I fell into deep thought. Given that Ethan's wife is me. It couldn't be. I took a deep breath and posted a probing question. Do you like your wife? Waiting for her to love me, duh. Waiting for her to love me, that thing you said about pinning her to a wall, what does that mean? Does it work? I was still reeling from the incredible realization that I was Ethan's old flame. So, the pic wasn't a mistake. He really was trying to appeal to my interests. Before I could process it all, another comment replied to him. It's a forceful, dominant kind of love. You grab her by the neck for a breathless deep kiss, then rip off your tie to bind her resisting hands above her head. Make her feel your overwhelming passion. My mouth twitched. Could you please not add to the chaos? What if he actually tries it? Sure enough, Ethan followed up, does that really work? It works if you're hot. Don't try it if you're not. Waiting for her to love me, I'm not ugly. But I don't have the nerve. Then you deserve to post emo stuff for the rest of your life. Waiting for her to love me, thanks. I've decided to be brave again. This. He was being brave again. Was Ethan going to try to pin me to a wall? The weirdest part was, why did I feel a little flicker of anticipation? It was 7 in the evening. When I came downstairs, I saw Ethan sitting in the living room. He'd clearly been home for a while, just sitting there. He used to get home at 7 on the dot, right when I'd come down for dinner. Thinking back, he must have timed it specifically so we could eat together. One rainy day, he was late, and I had already finished eating. From that day on, he started coming home an hour early and would just wait quietly in the living room. He wouldn't get up and head to the dining room until I came downstairs. I never thought much about it before. I just assumed he was a creature of habit who didn't like to break his routine. 7 o'clock was his dinner time. The rain delayed him once, so he started coming home early to prevent any future disruptions to his schedule. At the dinner table, we ate in our usual silence, the only sound being the clinking of our silverware. I watched Ethan discreetly. He looked preoccupied, like someone about to undertake a major, uncertain task. Suddenly, he put down his chopsticks and said, "Mrs. Davis, do we have any wine?" My hand froze. Was he drinking for courage? Mrs. Davis came over. Yes, we do, sir. Why the sudden interest? The tips of his ears turned slightly red as he looked away. I'm thirsty. Mrs. Davis didn't ask any more questions and went to get him the wine. Right, thirsty. I had no idea what his tolerance was like. What if he got drunk and made a scene? I started to worry a little for my own safety. Thankfully, Mrs. Davis brought back a bottle of fruit wine. Ethan hesitated before taking it, then downed it in one go. His eyes darted toward me, and the blush on his ears deepened. By now, I was full. This was not a place to linger. I quietly got up and went upstairs. But by 10 o'clock, there was still no sign of Ethan. I was lying in bed, scrolling on my phone. The more I thought about it, the funnier it seemed. He must have chickened out again. That strange knot of nervousness and weird anticipation inside me slowly began to fade. I went downstairs for a glass of water. When I returned to my room, I was pinned against the door by a tall figure, unable to move. Ethan's breath was suddenly all around me. He leaned in slightly, his forehead touching mine. I looked up and met his gaze. His eyes were filled with a heavy, possessive desire, a world away from his usual cool demeanor. His breath carried the faint scent of alcohol. Peach, to be exact. I was a little stunned. Ethan, you. Before I could finish, his lips came crashing down on mine. There was no build-up, just the sweet taste of fruit wine. It was urgent and fierce, almost suffocatingly strong. I instinctively tensed up. I could feel his hand on my neck. He wasn't squeezing, just resting it there. The touch was almost ticklish. I pushed against his shoulders, trying to create some distance. He must have thought I was resisting. He paused the kiss for a moment, his lips still lingering at the corner of my mouth. The next second, he yanked his tie loose. His collar fell open, revealing his pale, elegant collarbones. The black tie slowly wrapped around my wrists, circling tighter and tighter, before he lifted my hands above my head and pinned them to the door. My eyes widened. Seriously, you're actually doing this? His kiss returned, but this time, it was surprisingly gentle. The kiss lasted a long time, so long that I was running out of air before he finally, slowly, pulled away. He wrapped his arms around my waist, buried his head in the crook of my neck, and nuzzled me gently. He then lowered my hands so I could wrap them around his neck. In the quiet room, the only sound was our ragged breathing. After a moment, he spoke, his voice hoarse. Don't be so distant with me. Please. His tone, so humble and pleading, was a stark contrast to the dominant man who had just kissed me senseless. I blinked, my heart softening. The dominant type who's secretly begging for love? Interesting. As the charged atmosphere in the room slowly cooled, I gave him a gentle push. Aren't you going to explain yourself? His body stiffened slightly. He lifted his head, his dark eyes looking straight into mine. His lips moved, but no words came out. Clearly, he hadn't prepared an explanation for his impulsive act. I sighed. Call you a wimp, and you have the guts to pin me to a wall. Call you brave, and you can't even manage a proper confession. Fine, I'll give him an out. Ethan, are you drunk? He stared into my eyes for a few seconds, then buried his head back in my neck, his voice low. Yeah, my head is spinning. I almost laughed out loud. Nice acting. If you're dizzy, then please go back to your room and sleep it off. Okay. The next morning, I went downstairs. Ethan was sitting in the living room, reading the paper. I was surprised. Usually, he'd be at the office by this time. When he saw me, he put down the paper, looking a little unnatural, and followed me into the dining room. As we ate breakfast, he kept staring at me. It was hard to ignore. I paused and gave him a look that said, "What?" He hesitated for a long moment before speaking quietly. "Chloe, I was drunk last night. Did I do something to you?" I raised an eyebrow. You blacked out? Yeah. I hid a smile. So now he's claiming amnesia. He watched me, his eyes filled with a mixture of anxiety and hope. Was he trying to gauge my reaction? An idea popped into my head. I put on an innocent expression. Huh? You didn't do anything to me. You were in your room last night, and I was in mine. With that, I went back to eating my breakfast. I saw Ethan's shoulders slump in disappointment. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, looking like he wanted to say something but couldn't. So conflicted. Just as I was about to get up, he suddenly blurted out. Chloe, I think I remember. I kissed you against your will last night. I'm sorry, can I take responsibility for it? He said the last part as if he'd finally summoned all his courage. I froze, momentarily speechless. He stared at me, as if awaiting my verdict. I was suddenly curious. If he couldn't even bring himself to confess his feelings, how exactly did he plan on taking responsibility? Sure. How are you going to do that? Marry me? We're already married. Hearing me mention marriage, he blushed. You can ask me to do anything. I'll do whatever you say, is that okay? I nodded thoughtfully. We'll see how you do. That day, he posted on his account. For once, there was no emo caption. The comments rolled in. Who is this and what have you done with emo guy? Where's the angst? Looks like pinning her to the wall worked. Can you elaborate? That day, I finished getting ready and came downstairs. Ethan was waiting, looking nervous. Chloe, I want to drive you to work. Can I? I thought about how our offices were in opposite directions. No, that's okay. It's not on the way. His face fell. It can be on the way, he said excitedly. His eager eyes were tinged with sadness. I paused. He realized he'd been too intense and reined himself in. I mean, it's not that far. It won't take much extra time. He'd probably worked up so much courage just to ask. If I said no again, he'd probably go back to posting his emo garbage. I nodded. Okay, let's go. The whole way there, Ethan could barely contain his happiness. A smile was plastered on his face. He would occasionally turn to me and chat about little things happening at his company. Even when we were stopped at a red light, he was sneaking glances at me. Once I got to the office, I dove into a busy day. Just before quitting time, a message from Ethan came through. Chloe, can I pick you up from work? I replied, I get off at 5. Me too. Really? I thought you got off at 6. But he was the boss, he could leave whenever he wanted. I didn't dwell on it and replied with an okay. The moment I stepped out of the office building, I saw Ethan waiting. He was tall and lean in his suit, his hair slightly messy from the wind. The second he saw me, his face lit up with a smile, and he walked over. You got here fast, I said, surprised. Yeah, no traffic, he answered with a grin. We got home early, so I curled up on the sofa and scrolled through my phone. Chloe, I want to cook for you. Ethan, who had been hovering nearby, suddenly spoke up. I looked up at him, shocked. You can cook? He nodded immediately. I'm very good. Then how come I've never seen you in the kitchen? He mumbled, you said you really like Mrs. Davis's cooking. I was afraid you wouldn't like mine. So timid. I've never even tried it. How would you know if I like it or not? Go ahead, I'll be the judge. His eyes lit up, and he immediately disappeared into the kitchen. At 7, he brought out the last dish. Chloe, you can wash up. Dinner's ready. Okay, I replied. When I got to the table, I was blown away. 4 dishes and a soup, all of which looked absolutely mouth-watering. And most importantly, they were all my favorites. I picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork. Ethan sat across from me, his eyes glued to my face. I devoured it in one bite and shot him a big thumbs up. Amazing. With every dish I tried, I gave him another immediate thumbs up. I swear, it was so delicious. You have these kinds of skills and you never told me. Ethan's tense expression gradually relaxed, and he gave a shy smile. So, who cooks better, me or Mrs. Davis? I was still happily eating. Mrs. Davis is a better cook. His face fell. Okay. Seeing his disappointed look, I couldn't help but laugh. There's a second half to that sentence, I said. Mrs. Davis is a good cook. You're an amazing cook. His expression instantly brightened, his eyes sparkling. Really? Can I cook for you every day, then? As long as you don't mind the work. It's not work at all. That night, I was lying in bed. I saw Ethan had posted several times in a row. So happy, I drove her to work. She didn't seem annoyed and was way less distant with me. Super happy, I picked her up from work. I've decided to change my company's hours to a 5 p.m. close. I want to see her sooner. She ate the food I made. And she said it was amazing. My heart was pounding when she complimented me, so happy. Cooking for her is a joy, how could I ever get tired of it? I couldn't help but smile. He had such a rich inner life. The comments. Okay, this is getting too sweet. What turned emo guy into happy guy overnight? Who made him happy again? He replied, my wife. After that day, his emo posts turned into a happy diary. Bought her flowers on the way to pick her up. Bluebells, her favorite. She actually smiled at me. It was so beautiful. Made fried eggs for breakfast. She said they were really tender today. I secretly made a note of the cooking time. I have a bit of a cold today. She sent me a text at work to see how I was doing. It made my heart feel so warm. She's starting to care about me. She wore new lipstick today. I want to kiss her. Wondering if I should try the wall pinning thing again. But I'm so scared she'll get mad. I want to go grocery shopping with her after work, and she said yes. How can she be so nice? She never says no to anything I ask. It's making me want even more. I don't want to sleep in the guest room anymore. I want to sleep with her. How do I ask? I'm so scared of being rejected. Seeing that last one, I couldn't help but shake my head. After all this time, he was still such a wimp. A user offered a suggestion, that's easy. Just flip the main breaker, say the power's out, and you're scared of the dark. Ask if you can stay in her room. Once she agrees, just pretend to be super tired and accidentally fall asleep. She can't just kick you out of bed then, right? I cringed. That trick was so old. I never thought Ethan would actually consider it. He replied, thanks, I'll try that right now. I gritted my teeth. He really was as diligent as he was cowardly. As I passed through the living room, I saw Ethan hovering by the circuit breaker. I deliberately spoke up. What are you doing? He jumped like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar, a guilty look on his face as he turned around. And nothing. Just walking around, checking to see if there's a problem with the electrical panel. Are you going to bed, Chloe? I held back a laugh, not calling him out. Not yet. He nodded, watching me go upstairs. The thought of what he was about to do made me want to laugh. Back in my room, I started my skincare routine. Just as I was about to get into bed, the room plunged into darkness. I knew it. Here we go. I calmly turned on my phone's flashlight. Less than a minute later, there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it. Ethan was standing there in a bathrobe, the collar open quite low. It was hard not to stare. I raised an eyebrow. The guy even added his own dramatic flair. He spoke first, his voice laced with a deliberately pitiful tone. Chloe, I just got out of the shower and the power went out. I'm really scared of the dark. Can I stay in your room for a bit? Worried I'd say no, he added, I already called the property manager. I'll leave as soon as the power comes back on. I thought to myself, I bet the power won't be back on until tomorrow. Even though I knew he was lying, I had no desire to expose him. I found that I quite enjoyed watching him put in all this effort, racking his brain for ways to get closer to me. Come in. His happiness was visible. You can sit on the bed. Then I lay down on the other side of the bed and started scrolling through my phone. In my peripheral vision, I saw him sit down obediently. He looked at the wide gap between us with a disappointed expression. After about 2 minutes, he whispered, "Chloe, I'm a little sleepy, can I just lie down for a second?" Just on the edge. Getting straight to the point, are we? I didn't answer right away. Can I lie on the floor then? Seeing him about to actually sit on the floor, I sighed and rubbed my forehead. You can lie on the bed. The light in his eyes shone brighter than my flashlight. Thank you, Chloe. Then he carefully and quietly lay down. For the next half hour, he kept trying to regulate his breathing, attempting to sound like he was already asleep. He was trying to prove he drifted off. I could see his eyeballs still moving slightly under his lids. I smiled. His acting was terrible. At 11, I put down my phone. I looked over to the other side of the bed. Ethan's breathing had become even and steady. Ethan. No response. Looks like he really was asleep. The guy was surprisingly well behaved. I watched him for a moment before lying down myself. Thankfully, the comforter was big enough. I pulled it over Ethan a bit more. Then I turned off the flashlight as sleepiness washed over me. In the dark, quiet room, all that was left was the sound of our breathing. A sliver of moonlight peeked through a gap in the curtains. Ethan slowly opened his eyes, which were perfectly clear. Chloe. No response. A small smile appeared on Ethan's lips. He carefully inched his way across the bed. He moved closer until he could gently wrap his arm around my waist, pulling me securely into his embrace. He lowered his head and nuzzled the top of my hair with his nose. His deep voice, full of adoration, echoed softly in the quiet night. My wife, I'm finally holding you. The next morning, when I woke up, the spot beside me was empty. I went downstairs and saw Ethan carrying out breakfast. He was still wearing an apron. He smiled when he saw me. Chloe, you're awake. Did you sleep well last night? I thought back. It was okay, though I remember feeling pretty warm. I slept well. That's good. I'm sorry, Chloe. I accidentally fell asleep last night. I'm not sure if the power ever came back on. He feigned regret. I gave him a mental round of applause. What a performance. But I played along. It's fine. Just be more careful next time. There can be a next time? He asked excitedly. I was taken aback and shot him a look. He quickly corrected himself. No, I mean, it won't happen again next time. The nerve of this guy, wanting to pull the same trick again. Ethan updated his diary. Slept with my wife. Held my wife, she's so soft, so soft, so soft, and smells so good, so good, so good. Couldn't help but hold her all night. Thankfully she didn't seem uncomfortable. I paused. Of course. How could he possibly behave himself? Bro, who asked? Damn it. He actually pulled it off. From this day forward, nobody is allowed to give him any more ideas. One day, I was out shopping with a friend when I had the misfortune of tripping and falling. The ground was covered in little pebbles, and I scraped up a large patch on my hand, which started to bleed. We had to cut our shopping trip short and go to a clinic to get the wound treated. While we were there, Ethan called, and I had my friend answer for me. After she hung up, she smiled and said, "Your husband is on his way." He sounded so panicked, he must think you're seriously hurt. Sure enough, a few minutes later, Ethan burst in, rushing over and grabbing my hand frantically. Honey, where are you hurt? Does it hurt a lot? I was surprised by the pet name. My friend smiled and quietly slipped out. Seeing I wasn't saying anything, his eyes started to turn red with anxiety. Why aren't you talking? Did you hit your head? Does anything else hurt? A mischievous thought popped into my head. Who are you? As the words left my mouth, tears started to fall from his eyes. I'm Ethan. I'm your husband, don't you remember? Please don't scare me, how could this happen? His voice trembled, and it was like something inside his eyes was shattering. How could you forget? It took me so long just to leave a small mark in your memory, how could you just forget? I have to get a doctor. The doctor can fix this. Chloe, you can't forget me. I hadn't expected such a strong reaction. I quickly grabbed his arm. I was just kidding. You actually believed me? I fell on my hand, not my head. He froze, tears still on his face, looking unconvinced. Who am I? I answered honestly, Ethan. And? My husband. When was our wedding date? January 18th. When was the first time we slept in the same bed? The day before yesterday. He finally believed I hadn't lost my memory. The tension in his face eased. How could you make a joke like that? I really believed you. Do you know how scared I was? I felt bad. No more pranks. Seeing me looking down, he must have thought he'd been too harsh. He pulled me into his arms, his voice softening. I'm not mad at you. I was just so scared, you've already forgotten me once before. You can't forget me again, okay? I froze. What do you mean? What did he mean, I'd forgotten him? Did we know each other before? When he was 12, his parents sent him to the countryside to recover from an illness. That summer, I happened to be visiting my grandmother and met him there. The other kids used to tease me, but Ethan would always chase them away. After that, I started following him around everywhere like a little duckling. I even told him, with all the innocence of a child, that I was going to marry him when we grew up. Later, when he got better and had to leave, I cried my eyes out. I made him promise he'd come find me when we were older. He promised me very seriously. But kids forget things quickly. One day you can be crying your heart out, and the next it's all gone. That was me. Ethan looked at me, his voice calm now, but with an undercurrent of hurt he couldn't hide. I always remembered my promise to find you. When we met again in high school, I was so excited. But that day, I grabbed your arm and asked if you remembered me. You just pulled away coldly and asked who I was. I told you all about our time in the country, but you still said you didn't remember. Fuzzy memories suddenly came flooding back. At first, I really didn't recognize him. But after he told me those stories, I did remember. I just never thought he'd actually come and find me. It made me think of all the childish things I'd said. My older self was just mortified. I didn't want him to bring any of it up, so I pretended I'd forgotten. Luckily, he never approached me again after that. And I gradually pushed the whole incident to the back of my mind. What shocked me now was that the boy had been Ethan. I hadn't recognized him at all. But I can't be blamed entirely. Ethan had changed a lot. Plus, I have a bit of face blindness. So it's no wonder I had no memory of it. So, he's like me since we were kids. For all these years. He was so loyal. So being forgotten by me was the reason he hid his feelings and became so timid. Ripples spread through my heart. Then another thought struck me. I sighed. You could say his timing was just off. Back in high school, I was obsessed with the bad boys from teen novels. I liked the wild, rebellious type. Ethan was the picture-perfect model student. I just wasn't interested. But the me of today? I happen to love his type, the clingy, adoring puppy dog whose world revolves around me. After that day, I thought he would finally open up and express his love for me freely. But he didn't. He was still the same coward who only dared to show his feelings online. He was very anxious and restless today. I had a high school reunion tonight, so I told him he didn't need to pick me up from work. On the phone, he sounded very down. Are you still coming home? Will you still be nice to me when you get home? I was completely confused. Before I could ask what he meant, he quickly changed the subject. I'll wait for you at home. The reunion was kind of boring, so I opened my phone. I saw Ethan had just posted. He's back, what do I do? Are you going to leave me? Who's back? What was making him so terrified? Who's messing with him now? His wife. My guess is his wife's old flame is back in town, and he's panicking. Still haven't won her heart, huh? Come on back, emo guy. Come back and post more angsty stuff. That's your comfort zone. Your wife's gonna leave you now. Waiting for her to love me, blocked. Oof, that hit a nerve. I frowned. What old flame? What were they talking about? My past is completely clean. The reunion ended. My old classmate, Grant, said he was heading my way and offered me a ride. He had just moved back to the country and happened to be working with my family's company, so I accepted. After he dropped me off, I watched him drive away. I turned and had only taken a few steps when I froze. Ethan was standing at the entrance to our house. The dim porch light cast a long shadow behind him, his face an unreadable mask. I walked closer. Who was that? He asked first. A high school classmate. He gave me a ride since it was on his way. Why didn't you let me pick you up? It was getting late. His expression tightened. It's so late, and you felt safe getting in a car with him? You didn't want to bother me, but you trust him completely? I felt a surge of irritation. Are you saying you don't trust me? What exactly are you interrogating me about? Do I have an obligation to explain anything to you? His eyes turned red, filling with hurt and sadness. He didn't say another word and turned to go inside. I hesitated but didn't call out to him. When I walked into the living room, I saw the untouched, cold dinner on the dining table. I sighed. I realized I had been too harsh. I knew he was just jealous, but I couldn't bring myself to be the first to apologize. I had gotten so used to him always being the one to make the first move, so used to passively accepting his kindness. Lying in bed, I reflexively opened his profile again. I knew you always had him in your heart. If you like him more, then just don't talk to me anymore. But, this was all my own wishful thinking anyway. What right do I have to blame you? You have no obligation. I was the one who got carried away. The internet users showed no sympathy. Bet you'll be upset when she really stops talking to you. Well, welcome back, emo guy. He said he was going to go out and make something of himself, but he came back exactly the same. Gotta admire the consistency. Refollowed. So, he thought Grant was my old flame? His strange behavior today was all because he found out Grant was back? That's ridiculous. Who started that rumor? No wonder Ethan was so timid and conflicted. Now that I knew the reason, I suddenly felt the urge to go comfort him. I went to Ethan's room but found the door open and nobody inside. I went back downstairs. He was curled up on the sofa like a little animal. I went closer, knelt down, and smelled alcohol on his breath. Looks like he was drinking his sorrows away. Looking at his sleeping face, I reached out and stroked his hair, then gently pinched his cheek. He didn't stir. His hand was dangling off the edge of the sofa. I placed my hand in his. He gripped it tightly. I was surprised. His eyelids fluttered, but they didn't open. Ethan, let's clear up all our misunderstandings and issues tonight. This time, he opened his eyes and obediently sat up. They were still red. I'll ask first, I said, looking at him. You clearly like me so much. Why were you able to be so polite and distant after we got married? I could feel you keeping your distance from me, he said softly. Okay, I'll explain. It's because I knew you had an old flame you'd been in love with for years, so I deliberately kept my distance. But when I found out that person was me, I started to slowly open up to you." His eyes slowly widened in disbelief. "But as soon as Grant came back, you were so cold to me. You've always had him in your heart." I gave a weary smile. "Ethan, I don't have an old flame. Grant is just a high school classmate. I don't like him, and he doesn't like me. Tonight was really just a ride home because it was convenient, and because our companies are working together." "Really? You really don't like him?" he pressed, his eyes full of hope. I finally asked the question that had been bugging me. "Why did you think I liked him?" He hesitated. "In high school, I saw you give him a love letter. Everyone around us said you liked him." I racked my brain. Then it hit me. I did give Grant a love letter. But it wasn't mine. I was delivering it for someone else. The moment the misunderstanding was cleared, the light returned to Ethan's eyes. "Anything else you want to ask?" I said. He looked like he wanted to say something but held back. I suddenly remembered one of his old posts. "What's the secret to happiness?" I looked at him seriously and said softly, "Ethan, the secret to happiness is, if you miss me, you have to say it. And if you love me, you have to say it. I want you to be as direct and honest with me as you are online." He was stunned. After a long moment, he slowly tightened his grip on my hand. His face turned bright red, but he enunciated each word clearly. "Chloe, I miss you so much, and I love you so much." After that night, he became very clingy. He started reporting his entire schedule to me every day. "Honey, I made it to the office. Honey, my coworker has this really cool water bottle. Will you buy one for me? Honey, I'm eating lunch now. Honey, I got distracted during the afternoon meeting. All I could think about was going to that new hot pot place with you tonight. Honey, getting ready to leave and pick you up. Honey, saw a really scruffy looking dog on the way. Honey, I'm thinking of you today, too." I put down my phone, a smile spreading across my face. What can I say? I love this stuff. Him being clingy, always texting me. Always rambling on. Telling me all about his day. In the evening, we were taking a walk in the park. A light snow began to fall, the wind carrying fine flakes that settled on our hair. Ethan immediately stopped and brushed the snow from my hair. He zipped my coat all the way up, then took the edges of my scarf and wrapped it snugly around my chin. "Don't leave your neck exposed. You'll catch a cold." I suddenly remembered another one of his posts. I couldn't resist looking at him. I deliberately cleared my throat and recited it out loud. "In this season that's perfect for hugging, how is it that I can't even touch the hem of your clothes?" He froze, then his face flushed red as he realized what I was saying. He reached out to cover my mouth. "Stop, stop. That's so embarrassing." I laughed and dodged his hand. "You weren't embarrassed when you posted it, were you?" All I felt back then was sadness. "Alright, emo guy. Since this is the perfect season for hugging, I'll let you touch the hem of my clothes." I held out my arms. The words were barely out of my mouth before he pulled me into his arms, holding me tight. "But I've gotten greedy. Just touching the hem isn't enough. I want to hold all of you."